Hey, what's going on everybody? It's Steve. Today we're going to talk a little bit about my Disneyland experience with the new reopening. As you know from my last video, I went on May 30th. Me and my girlfriend went, so two of us. We had a park hopper, and I just wanted to run down, it looks like 9 kind of bullet points of what I could talk about and let you know how the experience went. It shouldn't take too long. I'll run through them pretty quick, but like and subscribe, hit that notification bell, and I'll hopefully have some new content with you or for you pretty soon. So most of my content has been tech-based, but since I finally got to get to Disneyland, I'm going to post some videos about that. And we'll just start from the beginning. All right, so May 30th, Sunday, was our day to go. The first thing anyone needs to do, obviously, is if you want to ride the Rise of the Resistance, or the Indiana Jones ride, you have to use your app to book a time for the virtual queue. For Rise of the Resistance, the 7 o'clock booking time, you don't have to be in the park. So we wanted to go on that, obviously. So I woke up at 6:45 in the morning and noticed that when I went in, I got an alert saying the ride was closed that day. To my surprise, the day did not start off good. Couldn't get on Rise of the Resistance. So that sucked. And I guess it was down for one day because the next day it was up. But anyways, that was the first portion. You have to wake up. If you want to get on the ride, make sure you get in your app and reserve a spot in the virtual queue by 7 o'clock in the morning. If you don't get on that queue, if you're in the park, at noon, I believe there's a second time where you could set up for a queue. So 7 o'clock in the morning, you don't have to be at the park. 12 o'clock noon, you do have to be in the park to book Rise of the Resistance. And as of, I think, Saturday, when the Spider-Man ride starts, you can do the same thing, but I read that you cannot be in a virtual queue for Rise of the Resistance and the Spider-Man ride at the same time. So if you're in queue for Rise of the Resistance, you have to wait until, I believe, you're off the ride and then try to sign up for the Spider-Man queue. Keep that in mind. Okay, after waking up early and trying to do all that, the first portion of any trip is commuting. I typically never have a problem. I live about 2 miles away from Disneyland, so, I hopped on the 5 South, got off Disneyland Drive, and the little overpass was all set. It was open, took that straight into the Mickey and Friends parking structure. Got to the toll pretty quickly. It was a $25 fee to park. Same thing, you pay, get your receipt, go up into the structure. And even though the park opens at 9 and we got to the structure at 10, there still was plenty of parking, and it was still at that point where the Disneyland crew was guiding you into park. So that was really quick. We got in and got our spot probably, I would say, in 5 minutes, definitely less than 10 minutes. There was 0 line to get in. And once we got up into our, we were on the Mickey level, we got to our parking spot, got out and started walking. So there was no big deal as far as parking went. They did a really good job. I don't know how it would have been at 9 o'clock in the morning or before that for people who wanted to get into the park, literally when it opened. I'm sure there was more of a line, but it wasn't bad at 10 o'clock. So that is the parking. There was definitely no problems with parking. After you park, obviously your next plan is to get into the park, Disneyland or DCA. I know normally I usually park and then I'll walk from Mickey and Friends to the Pixar Pals, and then I'll cross over the little bridge that they built, and then I'll walk in through the Disneyland downtown Disney entrance and walk in that way. But we walked down the escalator from Mickey and Friends, and you weren't able to walk across the street on the lower level. I could have probably went back up and around and then over the bridge, but they weren't letting you walk straight across the street. You literally have to walk the tram route. So when you come down from the Mickey and Friends parking structure, instead of walking left to the tram route and then walking, you walk to the right, and then you go around and then into where the tram loads, and then you're going to, I guess, enter through the exit, and that's where they're checking bags. So that's good. They're not checking bags when you get to the gate of Disneyland or DCA or anywhere in between. It's literally right by the tram loading and unloading. And that was really quick. When we got there, there was no one ahead of us, like one person or two people. Again, that was at 10 o'clock. At 9 o'clock in the morning, it was probably a lot worse. Or a little bit worse, but at 10 o'clock it was fine. We got through the bag check in 2 minutes. Now, the Indiana Jones ride, and I'm segueing kind of back, but you also need a virtual queue spot for Indiana Jones, and that one you need to be in the park. So the thing that kind of sucked was I went into the app and I wanted to book it from the parking structure, and it's like, you're not in the park yet. It took probably 10 to 15 minutes to walk to the park. By the time I got there, it was all booked and I couldn't get on Indiana Jones. So that kind of sucks, but I mean, it's not Disney's fault. But, you know, it would have been better if you could book that at least from the parking structure or while you're walking. But what can you do? First come, first serve, I guess. So as far as getting from the parking lot to the front gates, I would say, yeah, it was fine. I'm trying to see if I missed anything. Yeah, you have to walk to the gate. Right now, I see no kind of other option besides walking. I'll get to it more at the end. I don't see why they can't use the tram. But like I said, I'll get into that point at the end. All right, once you get to the gates, next is entering the park again at 10 o'clock or around 10:20, 10:30 when we finally walked there. It wasn't bad. We went to DCA first. You have to remember, if you have a park hopper, you have to select the park you want to go into first, and you could go into the next one at 1 o'clock. We went to DCA. There was nobody online. Again, they scanned our tickets on my phone, and we got right into California Adventure. So let's see. Getting into the park. Yeah, the app worked fine. It was quick scan, no delay. They took our picture. Well, the picture taking was down in the beginning. When we went back, it was back up, and then we were able to take our picture, and we had our masks on. What else? The park hoppers work just like they have always. I was a little nervous because I thought maybe with COVID and the way it's set up that a park hopper was literally you get to one park in the morning and then you could get to the next park after 1 p.m. and you kind of have to stay in that park. But it's not. It works exactly the same. You could go back and forth as many times as you want on the designated day that you're allowed in. So on Sunday, we went to California Adventure, rode some rides, 1 o'clock, went to Disneyland, did a little bit there, and then we went back to DCA after that, and it worked perfectly. They did give us a paper ticket, though, for re-entry, and I don't know why, because we had our phone. So I guess whether you print out your ticket or you're using your phone, they're going to give you a paper ticket to get back in, but you don't need it. As long as you have your phone, you could open it, they'll scan it, it's fine. All right, so once you're in the park, I'll talk about getting on the rides first and then the food and meals second. So first thing about going on rides now, I don't know how it's going to be later after June 15th when people from all states could come. Don't let the lines fool you. We went to Pirates of the Caribbean. The line looked like it was 5 hours. But it's because they don't let you wait on the inside queue very long. So they're stretching the lines. So for Pirates, they had us kind of like start by the water. Oh my God, the name slips me, but right by, I think it's Mark Twain riverboats, right over there. And it was literally all outside. We started down the riverboats, came back, and then we actually had to wait on line like in the street where it would just be typically people walking. And it kind of got congested, but it was mostly because of the line and not because of the people. So most of the line is spread outside of the attractions and they're 6 feet apart. So the lines look really, really long. So like if you go in the app and it says this ride is 25 minutes and you look at the line and you're like, oh, it must be wrong. This looks like a 2-hour line. It's absolutely correct. Like I said, Pirates looked like it was going to be 2-3 hours. It took us 25 minutes to get in. It was perfect. So it's a little bit interesting. Yeah, I talked about in lieu of indoor lines, everything is outside and it's stretched. It was kind of funny because we did get to go on Smuggler's Run and that line ran outside and backstage. So you never really get a chance to get backstage, but if you go to Smuggler's Run like this weekend, before the 15th, if they change anything, you're gonna get to wait in line backstage, which was pretty cool. You don't really see anything, but it's kind of weird to be there. Let's see. Oh, speaking of Smuggler's Run, it's kind of cool because no matter how small or large your party is, you get on, it's just you and your party. So me and my girlfriend, there was two of us, we got to ride in that cockpit, just both of us. So I had to sit in the front and I flew. I used both controllers to fly and she was behind me. I think she was the gunner, and that was pretty cool. All right, welcome back. Had a little technical difficulty. My monitor, I thought it had 40% battery and it went out on me, so I had to change the battery real fast. Getting back to rides. Also, all rides are open unless they're not. Nothing's changed there. You get there in the morning. You might want to get on a ride and it's closed just because it's in this little COVID period where things are closed. It might reopen later, so don't worry about that. Unless, of course, in the app it says it's closed for the day, like Rise of the Resistance was for me. If it says temporarily closed, just go back later and it should be open. Next, we'll talk about food and meals and eating. This was kind of crazy. From what I could tell while I was there, all of the food, like reservations, if you wanted to sit down, if you wanted quick service, all of that was mobile order to pick up only. The only things that I saw that you could just walk up online, buy like right there and eat were like cart stuff, like churros, pretzels, popcorn, soda. Everything like that I saw, I was able, like I got a churro, we walked up, we waited in line, we got a churro right there and we ate it and we didn't have to put in a mobile order. But everything else we wanted to eat, we did, and it was kind of annoying. We got into Disneyland at, what did I say, like 1 o'clock, a little after 1. Literally the first thing we wanted to do was go to the Little Red Wagon and get a corn dog. So we get to the Little Red Wagon at a little bit after 1 o'clock, put in our mobile order. The first pickup time is 3:30. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, are you telling me for a corn dog you have to wait 2.5 hours? I understand, like, I don't like to complain because, you know, the park is open during this period of time, but why would you need to wait 2.5 hours for a corn dog? I would rather wait in line for a half an hour, like always. But again, I digress. That's how they're doing it. I guess everyone had the same idea. They probably logged on at 9 o'clock in the morning and slots filled up. And that's why when I got there an hour later, or 3 or 4 hours later at 1 o'clock, there was no immediate corn dog service at that time. So we did have to wait 2.5 hours. Even worse than that, we got to the Tropical Hideaway. They ran out of Dole Whips. Like, how do you run out of Dole Whip when you know exactly how many people are coming that day? It's kind of crazy. Like, normal times, there's thousands of people there every day. You never know how many people are going to be there every day. And whenever you want a Dole Whip, it's there. I've never seen them run out. But we got there, they literally said, we're out of Dole Whips. Like, what's the point? That's why everybody comes here. And they ran out. So that was discouraging, and that sucked a little bit. While the Dole Whip line at the Tiki Room, I don't even think was open. It might have only been open for people who wanted to ride, but at the Tropical Hideaway, Dole Whips were nada. There was nothing. Let's see what else. Oh yeah, a lot of the shops, not a lot. Let me retract that. Some of the shops, they weren't even open, and this I don't get either. We got on the Winnie the Pooh ride, we got off, and I was so looking forward to getting candy, those s'mores bars and those marshmallow tails from Pooh Corner, and Pooh Corner was closed. I don't know why it would have been closed. There's the Winnie the Pooh ride and Splash Mountain, and then you walk up and there's the Hungry Bear, but in that area there's nowhere to get snacks. off the top of my head. And I don't know why that would be closed. Unless they have to close a certain amount of stores for some reason. I don't know. But I know the two things we were looking forward to, like Corn Dogs, Rise of the Resistance, and Pooh Corner, all went to shit. So that was kind of pretty funny for my first day back. So I really think my experience with the food was pretty terrible. But what are you going to do? I know later in the day we actually wanted to get a sit-down meal, and what did we get it for? Like an hour later or 45 minutes later to get a sit-down quick service meal. So that wasn't too bad, but what is the point of it being quick service if you have to wait 2.5 hours? That kind of defeats the purpose. I'll let you be the judge. You let me know in the comments below if you guys have been to Disneyland recently, like since it reopened. Tell me what you think. Okay. Point number 7, capacity. It was not bad at all. Let me see. It was kind of hindered by the ride lines having to be outside and not inside. Since literally everybody was outside, it looked like it was packed. And it kind of got a little muddy a little bit, like I said, with Pirates of the Caribbean. Since the line was outside and it wrapped kind of into the street, when you're walking like from lands, between lands to like Pirates from Haunted Mansion, you're walking past all of these lines. So they kind of block up, and it just makes it seem like it's more crowded than it is when it's really not. Like I said, it's just the lines overflowing into the streets and into the lands where it makes it seem like it's really packed, but it really isn't. Speaking of capacity, I kind of actually like this reservation system, and I think I like it, and many people probably like it right now, only because we haven't been able to go in a year and a half, or what is it, like 15 months that we're allowed in, so we're saying that we like it. But it is kind of cool to know that it's not going to be super packed, and you could go through a day, even with a park hopper, and do everything you want as long as it's open. With that being said, there's a 100% chance when they come out with annual passes again that I'll get one, and I'll be in there when there's 1 million people and you can't move. So, but for now, I kind of like the reservation system. I do like the Rise of the Resistance app, like to get on the virtual queues. I do like that. I think they have to work on it a bit to be able to accommodate, you know, people to get everyone on. But since you're not letting as many people on the ride because of COVID and social distancing, that probably is a big factor onto why the queue pretty much sells out by like 1 o'clock or 2 in the afternoon. So there's really not much you could do there. When the park is at full capacity, I could probably see it working all the way through. But I haven't actually been on a queue to tell you guys how good or bad it is, so I can't speak on that, so I apologize. Need some water. All right, so after we got to the park, we were in the park, we walked around, ride the rides, eat the food. Next is your commute home. So we both stayed until the park closed, which was around 10 o'clock. And we walked back to the Mickey and Friends parking structure. This time, instead of taking the tram route back, we walked through downtown Disney like I wanted to originally in the morning, going to the park. So we walked through downtown Disney, exited by the ESPN zone, walked out and around, and we took the little walking bridge into the Pixar Pals. Unfortunately, the Pixar Pals escalators don't work. They're not on, so you can't just go down the escalator and across and then up into Mickey and Friends. What we had to do was just walk along the structure until it met up with Mickey and Friends, and then we went up one flight because we were on the Mickey level. So we did that. There was actually no problem at all getting back to the car. I think maybe because a lot of people stayed in the park as long as they could. Downtown Disney was actually really packed, so maybe some people left and stayed at Downtown Disney and hung out there. But there was really no problem getting back to the car. And according to my notes and my memory, it was not too difficult literally getting out of the structure. Once we got to the car, we got in and out, out of the structure, over the that ramp that takes you to the 5, probably less than 5 minutes. I was really surprised that it wasn't backed up. So getting to the park once you park was amazing, and leaving was excellent. They did a really good job with the parking lot coming and going. A+, keep it up. It also helps that last year before COVID they added those lights. I thank goodness they finally added those green lights so you know when there's a parking spot and you don't have to circle around the parking structure for like 45 minutes. Now I'm just going off on tangents, but parking, perfect. Not too many things can be perfect. They did a great job of parking, put it that way. All right, so we talked about pre-planning when you wake up, what you need to do. You want to get on Rise of the Resistance, you better be up at 6:45 to get in the app at 7 so you can get on that. Remember when Spider-Man drops, you can't be on Rise of the Resistance and Spider-Man queue at the same time. So I would say, since Spider-Man is new, get on that queue as early as you can. So hopefully by 12 noon, when you're in the park, you could then get your Rise of the Resistance queue set up. And then Indiana Jones, you have to be in the park for queue. I think they're partially using the queue. I think if it's not too packed, you could just go to the line and wait in line. But if it's really, really packed, then they create the queue. But I could be wrong. But before you get up to the park, just know what you want to get on and know what is a virtual queue and what you need to do and what time you need to be up to get on those. So that was great. Like I said, the food needs a little bit of work. I don't know too many people who want to wait 3 hours for a corn dog. That's like a quick food. It's not a meal. You know, you just want to walk somewhere. You want to get an ice cream cone. You want to get a churro. You want to get a corn dog. You want to get popcorn. You don't expect to wait 3 hours for that. A half an hour online, fine. We're used to waiting online for those kinds of things. That's why they're called quick service. So I think they need to tweak how that works a little bit. But overall, I mean, the food quality is the same. It was tasty. I mean, waiting 2.5 hours, the corn dog probably was fresher than if we waited online, because I know if it says you have to be there between, say, 2 and 2:30, it doesn't mean they make your food and you just go and pick it up, you know, like it's sitting around. If you get there at 2 o'clock, you tell them you're there and then they make it. So it might be fresher. I don't remember the last time I had a corn dog, but this one was really hot. Like they literally just made it. So that's that on the food. The virtual queue, like I said, is pretty good. It works how they want it to work. It just fills up really fast. So that goes again with what I said, pre-planning. Just make sure you're up at the right time and you know what ride you want to get on with that queue, and just like refresh until you can get on. And like I said, Indiana Jones, you have to be in the park for. But it works, but just make sure you get on it. Yeah, all in all, wrap it up. They just need a few more tweaks to some things and it'll be close to perfect. Like overall, it was fine. It was better than when the park is super packed and full during a regular day. But I really don't think they're going to work on certain aspects to get it to be perfect. I just think they're anticipating next month or the month after or really soon it just being open again, and they could just go back to their old policies, procedures, and systems. Like they were able to get it open for April 30th and now May and June, you know, with the COVID guidelines. They were happy to do that. They're doing the best they can. I just don't see them trying to perfect it. Like it doesn't make sense to me. I'm just trying to think of them as a huge, gigantic business where they're like, this is fine. People are able to visit, they're able to ride rides and eat, and it's good enough. You know, there are no fireworks yet, no shows. I don't know when those are going to be back, but I'm assuming they'll be back when the park is open fully where they could do whatever they want. But as for now, I think they're happy with it just being fine and, you know, nothing crazy. There are characters that come out, they're on their little stages and you can't touch them or go too close to them. But I kind of like that because it seems to me like people don't hover around them all too much. I know people miss like taking pictures with them like close up, but when they're like behind the little rope, people seem to tend to just walk through, take a quick picture, the kids will say hello, and then people are on their way. It's not like 50 people waiting in line blocking the area and then, you know, taking a picture with them, and there's still like that congestion from the line. So it's good and bad. Bad because the kids can't go near the character, but good because it kind of allows the congestion to dissipate quicker. So if I wanted to rate this on a scale of 1 to 10, what would I give this overall experience? I would probably say a 7. And that's fine. They're doing a pretty good job. No one's getting hurt. No one's going crazy in the park. Everything you want to do is there. It's just different now. So, you know, if you see a video where people are saying that like everything is perfect and it's great, I mean, maybe they had a different experience than I did, but just don't go there thinking everything is going to be the way you want it. Like with food, if you want something, like you have to prepare your meals pretty much. So if you want a corn dog or something, like 8 o'clock in the morning when you're on your way to the park, you probably want to book a mobile order as soon as you get there, so you don't have to wait, you know, till the afternoon if you get there a little bit later. And I didn't have any sit-down meals because they were all taken. I couldn't even find one. But again, that looks like it's something that you might be able to do like before that day is even there. I had another technical difficulty. My camera stopped recording at 30 minutes, so I don't remember what I said after that. But I'm at, I believe, food. Summarizing kind of if you wanted to reserve a table, like at Blue Bayou or something. And when I was in the park, I was able to look at my app. There were no reservations for 30th, the day I was there on Sunday. But I did go to the following day, and I was able to see some openings for sit down. So it looks like you can pre-book your meal. Seeing as this video is 30 minutes already, I don't want to talk too much longer. I think I got through everything. Hopefully it didn't get cut off like any of my parts. I think I covered everything in the 30 minutes, but I'll see when I review it. So in the comments below, if you've been to Disneyland since it reopened, let me know your experience. Did you like it? Did you love it? Did you think it was okay? Did you think it was fine like I did? Did you have a horrible experience? Just let me know below. If you've been to Disneyland and Disney World, which I guess you can if you're from California, because I think Disney World's allowing anybody, let me know what you think of the differences. I haven't been to Disney World in a while. I'm not really a fan. I love Epcot Center. So I really hope to get to Florida soon to do Epcot again, and also go to Universal to see their Harry Potter land, because ours here in California isn't the best. But that's enough. 30 minutes is plenty of time. Hopefully I can cut this down a little bit more, but the bookmarks will help so you don't have to watch it all. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, please, and thank you, and I'll talk to you on my next video. Peace, guys.